What is going on, horror fans? Scream Fanatic here. It's been a while since my last video. I apologize about that, guys, for keeping y'all waiting. I've just been really busy, with life and work and all that stuff. But here I am back with another video. And in this video, I want to give my predictions for the upcoming Scream movie in a bingo card. My bingo card prediction video where there will be about 24 predictions in total. I counted every bingo card on this card or whatever it's called on this platform. I counted each little square. There's 24, so there's gonna be 24 total predictions, and we're gonna see how many of these hit, how many I get right, how many miss, if any hit at all. But I'm pretty confident in a good majority of these predictions. Some will be super bold. Some I'll be very confident in. Others I might not be super confident, but I'm just throwing it out there. I'm taking a shot. But let's get into the first prediction. So for my very first prediction, I'm going bold with this one because it's not really a lock and I could be wrong. But I'm just going to throw it out there and say that one of the Meeks twins will die. That's right. And a lot of fans are going to be pissed off. A lot of fans are going to be hurting. A lot of people will be sad. If you are a fan of Chad or Mindy Meeks or both, get the tissues ready. Because I think this movie, they're not taking any prisoners this time, okay? I don't know if that's the right term, but the last movie had way too many survivors. Everyone that mattered survived. Scream 6 went too easy on our beloved protagonist. And I feel like this movie, they're not going to care. They're not going to be as merciful. And I think they're going to be willing to go to certain dark places that the last one wasn't willing to. And that basically means pretty much anyone in this movie can be disposable. And because this movie sort of isn't going to be fully tied to 5 and 6, I mean, it will be in a way, but it's going to mainly go back to the original, which I'll touch on later. But because of that, I feel like the creators of this movie may look at the Meeks twins as disposable. They served their purpose in the first two movies. And yeah, they were supposed to be part of an original trilogy that was led by Sam and Tara until, the issue happened where, Melissa Barrera got fired. And with the whole change in trajectory, with this whole franchise and the whole pivot after Melissa's firing, I feel like Chad and Mindy are going to matter a lot less to the story, meaning the creators of this movie are going to be more willing to kill one of them off. That's my reasoning. And which of the two do I think will be more likely to be killed off? I personally think the one who dies is going to be Chad. Chad Meeks, your time has come. Chad Meeks has went through he survived multiple brutal stabbings that he shouldn't have. He should have died multiple times throughout, I was going to say season 5. I mean, Scream 5 and Scream 6. Especially, the scene where he got stabbed in the backyard in Scream 5, that was ridiculous. He should have died. I thought he was dead. And then even in Scream 6, when Quinn and Ethan were stabbing him up and he was falling to his knees, blood pouring from his mouth, and he said, "Run," to Tara, I thought that brother was dead. And you know what I think this time? If Chad Meeks goes through another brutal stabbing like that, I can't see them letting him survive a third time in a row. I feel like Chad Meeks, his plot armor has ran short, it's ran thin. And even in the trailer, there's a shot of Chad Meeks holding his stomach, almost looking like he got stabbed. Now that could mean nothing because a lot of people get stabbed and scream and survive, but that might be the scene, that kitchen fight scene where Ghostface takes on Chad and Mindy. That might be the scene where we see Chad Meeks die, the death of Chad Meeks. And it's going to suck because, I like Chad. Chad is a really good character. But like I said, just based off the new trajectory of this storyline and how the original plans for Scream 7 got scrapped, and how now the original characters, the OG casting will matter more, I just cannot see a world where they're not willing to sacrifice one of the Meeks twins. So that's why I'm throwing that prediction out there. And then prediction number 2. Now, this one I'm super confident in. This one is a lock. Gale, Tatum, and Sydney are the only guaranteed survivors. I mean, come on. You can't kill off Sydney Prescott. She is literally the heart of the franchise, okay? If Sydney were to die in a Scream movie, there would be like a global outrage. So many people would be upset. She is a massive fan favorite, okay? She's the survivor since day one, the final girl constant. For the day to come where she actually dies, nah, that's just not happening. So they're not killing Sydney. They're definitely not going to kill her daughter, because I do think that she's going to have an important role to serve in the future, because, you know, they're going to keep making more Scream movies, even though I think 7 should be the last one. You know that they're going to keep milking this franchise. So I'm not going to get into full detail about what I think about Tatum's future just yet, saving that for later. But yeah, they're not killing off Sydney's daughter, especially like if they're going to kill off Mark Evans, which I think they will, just based off what we've seen in the trailer. They're not going to take away 2 of Sydney Prescott's family members. And then Gale Weathers, I feel like she's another guaranteed survivor, even though she could die. She's not above death like Sydney, because Dewey did get killed off eventually. But I feel like between the lovers of Gale and Dewey, it was only going to come down to one of them dying, not 2. And Dewey already died, so I don't think they're going to go on to kill off Gale. I think Gale's going to be the one who survives and suffers the tragedy of losing Dewey and lives to tell about it, but not the one who dies after him, basically. And I think the purpose that she's going to serve in this story, like the arc that she's going to have in this story with Stu Macher, who I do believe is in this movie and alive and well, I do think this story is going to need Gale Weathers to survive. Therefore, she's not dying. But if your name is not Gale Weathers or Sydney Prescott or Tatum Evans, then you are not safe. Nobody not named Sydney, Gale, Tatum, nobody outside that trio are safe in this movie. I feel like anyone in this movie can die, and I foresee a lot of deaths. And not just characters we don't care about. There will be characters we love that we're going to witness getting killed. I'm very confident in this. And for the next prediction, there will be 5 total killers this time. I think this movie, it's going to kind of break some rules of the Scream franchise. Like, usually we're used to seeing at least 1 to 2, 3 killers total. Like Scream 3 had 1 killer, Scream 1 had 2, Scream 4 had 2, Scream 5 had 2, Scream 6 had 3. I think this movie's going to take it up a notch. And who I think will be killers. Because if Stu is alive, I do think that they are going to follow that cult storyline that they were originally planning for Scream 3. And if Stu is running a cult, you'd have to think there's going to be multiple killers. I think McKenna Grace's character will be one of the killers, because she kind of looks like a wolf in sheep's clothing, like one of Tatum's friends. And that's usually how it is in the Scream franchise. One of the suspects is always that one person in the friends group. So I think McKenna Grace's character will be a killer, and it's a heavy fan theory, and I feel like there's like a lot of evidence to support she might be a killer. So I think McKenna Grace will be the killer. Obviously, we know Stu Macher is going to be the killer in this movie, assuming he's alive and running a cult. I feel like As a German is going to be a Ghostface. He gives me serious Ghostface vibes in this movie. And then Anna Camp, who's in this movie, will be a Ghostface, I believe. And it's rumored she will be playing Leslie Macher. I could see Anna being Leslie Macher in this movie and teaming up with her brother Stu. And then I think Mark Consuelos, this actor, I cannot unsee this man being revealed to be one of the killers. Like, he gives me the vibes of a nice, unassuming man who no one would ever suspect as a killer. I mean, that's usually how it always is. But I could see him playing the role of one of Sydney's neighbors, maybe someone in Sydney's friend circle, and there's this huge twist that all this time he was part of Stu's cult. So, yeah, I think we're going to see 5 killers, which is going to raise the stakes for this movie by a landslide, because now our protagonist, they're not going to have to deal with 1 killer, 2 killers, not 3, 5 killers coming from multiple different angles. That's going to create a whole new challenge that the good characters, sorry, I just burped, are going to have to deal with. And I'm very interested to see how that is going to unfold, if I am right. And for the next prediction, Scream 7 will actually be scary compared to the last 2. It's going to be a lot more serious. The last 2 Scream movies were violent, they were bloody, but they felt more like horror comedies. They felt very campy, a little bit goofy, kind of hard to take them seriously. Whereas I feel like this movie, it's gonna be a lot more darker. Like I said earlier, they're gonna go to dark places that the last 2 movies were not willing to go. And I just see whoever's behind the Ghostface mask, whether it's 1 killer or multiple killers, whether it's Stu or not, I feel like the killer is going to have a lot more aura than the Bailey family, than Richie Kirsch, than Amber Freeman. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of the fans watching being afraid for the good characters in this movie. Like, this movie will actually have real stakes, real consequences, okay? They're not going to take it easy like last time. And, like the last movie where we saw Mindy Meeks cracking a lot of quips and, geeking out over movies, I feel like Mindy's going to be a lot more quiet in this movie. She'll have less screen time, and she's not going to be going on her little movie kick like she always does, explaining how franchises work. I don't see that happening. I just think Scream 7 is going to feel like more of a horror movie, and not a horror comedy, a serious horror movie with like very little comedic relief. And this sort of ties into my follow-up prediction. I think Scream 7 is going to break a lot of fans' hearts. Because like I said, I believe one of the Meeks twins will die. We'll see a lot of fan favorites die. And if Sydney's husband is actually going to die, I know a lot of fans are going to be hurting, because Sydney thought she had a happily ever after Scream 5. She was living peacefully in a different city, and then she loses her peace. Her family's going to probably get fractured. Her daughter's going to get traumatized. And I think some of her daughter's friends might be loved by the fans, and we might see Tatum get some of her friends killed off, which is going to suck. I think this movie's going to leave a lot of fans with a bitter taste in their mouth. A bittersweet taste, if you will. But mostly a bitter taste in their mouth. Like, damn, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that character died. I don't know if I'm fully satisfied with the ending. That's what I'm kind of getting from this movie. And my next prediction, Evans, not Riley. I'm just used to calling Tatum Riley because the original Tatum was Dewey's sister, but Tatum Evans will get kidnapped and held hostage. Because what we saw in that trailer was a Ghostface breaking into Sydney's house, and Tatum hiding in like the safe walls or whatever. Sydney guiding and instructing Tatum on where to shoot the killer, and then shooting the killer. And then Sydney saying, "You got him." And then Tatum coming out of hiding and Sydney saying, "You got to shoot him in the head." And then Ghostface stops playing possum, pops up, grabs the gun. And then there's a part in the trailer where Sydney yells, "Where's my daughter?" I really think they're setting up a storyline where we're going to have to see Sydney. She has to rescue her daughter from captivity. I think that's what this movie is building towards. I think that's what the trailer was hinting at. I think Ghostface gets up, grabs the the gun, doesn't stab her, maybe chloroforms her, maybe like sticks a syringe in her neck to put her to sleep, or maybe chokes her unconscious, but something's gonna happen. She's gonna get dragged into like some big white van and get carried over to Ghostface HQ. That's what I see happening. And for my 7th prediction, Stu won't be revealed until Act 3. I think Stu Macher is going to have scenes in the movie, but not unmasked. Like, there's going to be a build up to him. Like, there will be lines from the killer that will make people question or guess, could that be Stu behind the mask, behind Roger L. Jackson's voice, behind the voice modulator? Is that him on the phone with Sydney early on? Is that him burning his own house down in the beginning? Well, I don't know if he'll burn it all down in the beginning, but I do know there's an opening kill in Stu's house. I do think Stu will be in that opening kill in the Airbnb / tourist attraction that used to be his home. I do think that is Stu, but he's not going to be unmasked until like maybe like the last 30 minutes of the movie and like the final battle, where it's like this big shock. It's not going to be a surprise to me or the Stu believers, but to Sydney, to Gail, to the Stu deniers, seeing him alive, it's going to be like this big holy crap moment. He's actually back. Like, I feel like they would be wasting Stu's return if they revealed him too early. It makes too much sense to have him not revealed late. Like, it's going to be late, but he's going to have meaningful screen time for the time we see him on screen. And about the AI stuff, like, I feel like the AI predictions from fans are blown out of proportion. Obviously, AI is going to be involved, but I think only 2 characters in total will be used as AI voices. And that will be only Roman Bridger, because Robert Foley is casted. I think his name, Scott Foley, not Robert Foley. Scott Foley, and who else? What's his name again? Let me try to find him. David Arquette. They're both casted. You hear Dewey's voice in the trailer saying, all your friends die when they get close to you. Like, that's obviously him as an AI being used by one of the killers to mess with maybe Gail or Sydney. And then, someone will use Roman's voice. But I don't think the AI voices of past characters are going to be heavily used. From what I remember, I don't think AI was that much used, or the fake voices were used that much in Scream 3. And if I'm right, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it might be the same in this movie. I feel like the only unnatural voices we're going to hear, for the most part throughout the movie, will be Roger L. Jackson's voice. He'll be the dominant voice of the Ghostface mask. It ain't going to be, multiple different characters, but that's what I think. Only Dewey and only Roman. I mean, Roman Bridger might appear in like a flashback, maybe with him plotting and planning Maureen Prescott's murder, potentially. That might happen, or he might be in a hallucination. But I do feel like they're going to go the AI route with Roman and Dewey. And next up, Scream 7 will feel similar to Five Nights at Freddy's. I feel like this movie is going to get a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's comparisons. I watched that movie last night, and watching that movie, it kind of gave me a good idea for how Lillard is going to look as Stu, in modern times. In 2026, it gave me confidence for Matthew Lillard's performance, but there's a lot I saw in Five Nights that I think might happen in Scream 7, like the whole cult thing, because, Lillard's character in Five Nights at Freddy, at like the very beginning, you wouldn't have suspected he was one of the Fazbear killers, and you didn't really know what was going on early on, and there was like a bunch of ghosts of children behind the animatronic suits killing people, and like at the very end, it was revealed that, Matthew Lillard's killer was like basically using the ghost children to harm and kill people. And then he revealed himself at the end. He unmasked himself at the end. And I feel like Scream 7's going to follow a very similar formula with the whole cult thing. And I just see fans looking at that and be like, that kind of reminds me of Five Nights at Freddy's, the cult, Stu unmasking himself. It's going to look like that character unmasking himself in Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me just look up the casting real quick so I know what the character's name is from Matthew Lillard. William Afton, yes. But this movie's going to give a whole lot of Five Nights at Freddy's vibes, especially when it comes to not only the build-up, but like the final act. And I'm talking about Five Nights at Freddy's 1, not the first one, or not the second one. I've not seen the second one yet. I plan to see it very soon, but I watched the first one just recently on Netflix. And for my 10th prediction, Sam and Tara get kind of forgotten. Like, they might be kind of referenced in passing, but they're not going to be important to the story, this version of the Scream story, because their arc, it got cut short. It didn't really get much closure because, they were building to something. Obviously, Sam was supposed to be the killer in Scream 7, right? Which would have been a very interesting twist and turn, but now that idea got scrapped, I feel like Sam and Tara, they're going to be irrelevant. Yeah, we'll see two members of the core four, Mindy and Chad, but they're not going to have a lot of screen time. They're not going to be standout characters. There's probably not going to be a lot of room for Tara to get mentioned or Sam to get mentioned. They might get it might be said that, they left New York or Woodsboro or I don't know, wherever they moved to, right? But yeah, because they already served their purpose in the franchise, and I feel like this movie, it's going back to the original, and now that Sydney is taking front center stage of Scream again, they're just not, I just feel like Sam and Tara will not be heavily referenced, maybe vaguely, but ultimately they're just going to be swept under the rug, because it ain't about them anymore. That whole storyline of Sam, being coerced by Billy Loomis's ghost, that's out the window now. No one is going to remember or reference Billy Loomis's daughter. That's what I think. And for this upcoming prediction, Stu Macher has a narcissistic meltdown, throws a narcissistic rage / temper tantrum. I mean, can you not just see this happening? Like, Sidney Prescott just absolutely roasts Stu, puts him in his place, says something that hurts his ego, and just absolutely sets Stu off, and he just goes ballistic. I just cannot unsee this happening. Like, every time I picture Stu Macher being back and having interactions with Sidney, I just can't unsee. I just keep picturing Stu getting roasted by Sidney and then just losing his mind. I don't know why. And then for the next prediction, this movie is going to feel like more of a direct sequel to Scream 1 through 4. And I feel like I've kind of mentioned this earlier on in the video, but I'm going to get in more depth here because I don't know. I just feel like Scream 5 and 6 will be kind of forgotten. It'll get half referenced, but because they're going back to the original, because now the stage belongs to Sydney, she's no longer the supporting cast or non-present. She's present. She is the main character. Stu Macher, the original character, is coming back as the main villain in this movie, as the endgame villain in this movie. So I feel like it's appropriate that the events of the very first one get referenced, the second one gets referenced a lot, the third gets referenced, the fourth gets referenced, and the continuity is just going to feel so heavily linked to the first four because the first four were about Sydney. The last two were not really about Sydney. She was sort of seen or casted aside as old news. So yeah, that's why I think that. And then Stu will admit to killing Dewey in Scream 5 and attacking Gale in Scream 6. I mean, come on. This prediction is another lock. I'm very confident this happens. I just know Kevin Williamson is going to play into the whole Stu Macher theories from fans. I know he's going to feed off that. And I know he's going to canonize it that Amber didn't kill Dewey, that Quinn did not attack Gale. He's going to make it so, yes, the theories were true. Stu Macher did in fact kill Dewey. The tall Ghostface in the hospital who gutted Dewey from his groin to sternum was in fact Stu Macher. The math the fans did or counted up, there will be a payoff, right? And it's going to be a big, like, oh my gosh moment. But if you're really a Stu believer, you're not going to be shocked. You're not going to be surprised. Like, I will see this coming, but I feel like if these theories are true, there's no way that Stu does not tell Gail to her face, yeah, I killed Dewey. Yeah, I'm the one who almost killed you in New York. There's just no way. There's no way that that does not happen. And for prediction 14, Stu confirms the cult theories. I mean, this is totally going to happen. He's totally going to admit he was the mastermind behind Scream 5 and 6. Now, like I said, even though I don't think 5 and 6 will be heavily referenced or fully respected, like the first four, if there is a moment where 5 and 6 get some respect or mention, it's going to be when the idea or when Stu mentions the cult. That's when we're going to see, that's when we're going to hear 5 and 6 get referenced, because Stu will admit that he radicalized Amber and Richie, that he manipulated the Bailey family, and he had something to do with the Ghostface shrine in New York. That is when we're going to see the last two movies get referenced. But that's going to be like a very rare moment, if that makes sense. But there's just no way that's not going to happen. Stu Macher, if he's back, he is running a cult. He is not going solo, okay? The first two, not the first two movies, but the first two movies of this new trilogy has been this whole time building up to Stu Macher. And next prediction, Matthew Lillard gives a legendary performance. I'm very confident in this one. I don't want to say an Oscar because getting an Oscar is not easy. I can't guarantee anything, but I just know that Lillard is going to ace this performance. He's going to give the kind of performance that's going to make Stu Macher an even more iconic character than he was in 1996. I think a lot of fans are going to be glazing Matthew's performance as Stu in 2026. I think Stu is going to become an even bigger fan favorite. He's going to have lines that are going to get heavily quoted. It's just going to be iconic, legendary, and it's going to be talked about for many years to come. I just feel like Matthew Lillard is the type of guy to double down on the Stu Macher character that he already performed like 30 years ago. But that's what I do see happening in this movie. Is Matthew Lillard overperforming? It's going to be kind of like when Willem Dafoe returned as the Green Goblin and gave a killer performance in No Way Home, and almost an arguably even better performance than Spider-Man 2002. That's what I can see happening in this movie. Also, I think Act 3 will be insane. I think that's going to be one of the most talked about parts of the movie. It's going to be almost everyone's favorite part of Scream 7 is Act 3, because it's going to be super intense, action-packed, and violent. And I do think that Stu is going to have a little something to do with that. And that's why these two predictions, Lillard's legendary performance in Act 3 being insane, they tie so well together because of what I think is going to happen in this scene. Like, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts. It's going to have fans on the edge of their seats. And I also think Scream 7 will redeem this franchise. It's going to win back the integrity and the respect of the legend of Scream. Because I feel like even though people liked 5 and 6, a lot of people also didn't like those movies, you know? And those movies were heavily flawed. And I feel like they were kind of a big step down compared to the first 4 Scream movies. And I feel like this movie, I mean, it could miss. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think this movie is going to actually be really good. It's going to be better than 5 and 6. And it's going to kind of make 5 and 6 be somewhat forgotten. But fans will start to gain hope in the franchise, assuming they make an 8th Scream movie. Whereas Scream 5 and 6 may have ever so slightly killed the expectations for what might be to come for Scream 7. And then the next prediction number 18, Tatum will be set up as the next Sidney Prescott. Because like I said earlier, there is no way they're going to end this franchise, even though they should, even though I think the perfect ending would be Stu Macher dies, and then no more cult, no more Ghostface, Sidney lives in peace forever. But fans are going to love this movie. It's going to make a lot of money, and they're going to come back for more. They're going to make more Scream movies, which I think is dumb, but money talks. And I think that Tatum is going to serve an important purpose to this or to this franchise, because Sidney, she can't do this forever, man. Sidney can't do this forever. She's getting old. She's been there, done that too many times, taken too many stab wounds. How many times can Sidney Prescott keep doing this? I mean, originally it was going to be Sam and Tara to carry that torch for her, but now they're booted from the franchise. So I think Sidney's daughter will sort of take over the role that Sam was supposed to have, except she's not going to turn into a killer. She's just going to be that next generation, along with whatever group of friends she has that might kind of replace Sidney and Gale and Dewey going forward. That's what I see happening. And then prediction 19, fans will accuse the studio of nostalgia bait. A lot of fans are going to be talking about, oh, this movie had too much fan service. Like, you know, there's going to be a lot of Stu deniers that are going to be coping. Like, when Stu appears in the movie, because I'm very confident, when he is in the movie, people are going to be like complaining, like, oh, him being alive doesn't make sense. He should have died. People only brought him, or Williamson only brought him back for fan service, and it defeats the purpose and the integrity of the whole movie. That's what fans are going to say. But there's also going to be a lot of fans who are going to appreciate Stu's return. There's going to be a lot of fans that are going to appreciate Scream 7 being a callback to the original. But I also feel like there's going to be an audience that's going to be like, we should have tried something new with the story, you know? We should have left whatever happened in 1996 and moved on, if that makes sense. And then for my 20th prediction, Stu Macher drops some new iconic lines as well as repeating some old ones as a bit of a callback to fans, or for fans, from the 1996 movie, like when he said, "Live her alone, I'll be right back, it's a Scream baby, your mother was no Sharon Stone, I always had a thing for you, Sid." He's gonna say at least one of these 4 lines from the last movie, but then he's going to also say some new lines that fans are going to quote, fans are going to be memeing for many years to come. That's what I think. It makes perfect sense for this to happen. And my 21st prediction, Sidney and Gale will double team Stu Macher in the final act. Because what I said earlier, Gale is going to have an important purpose to serve in this movie, okay? I think her character is going to need closure with Stu Macher, because Stu, I think, did kill Dewey and did also attack her in New York. And there might be a bit of like a revenge storyline for Gale, where she realizes, okay, Amber died, but she didn't kill my precious Dewey. It was Stu. So I need to be the one that gets my lick back from Stu for killing, the love of my life and almost killing me in New York. Now, I don't actually think Gale will be the one to kill Stu. I feel like that's going to be cheap. It has to be Sidney. But I do think that Gale's going to get in some good licks on Stu Macher, but we're going to see like a bit of a girl power moment towards the end of the movie. And some fans might complain about like feminism. And then my 22nd prediction, Stu's reveal in the movie is probably going to get leaked online 2 days before the movie's release. I mean, this usually happens when a studio is trying to hide a character reveal, like No Way Home, Andrew and Toby's, returns got leaked online. I caught some leaks before actually getting to see it in the theaters. Multiverse of Madness had some leaks before the movie. Even like Avengers Endgame, I'm sure, like leaked some spoilers, important spoilers. It's a common thing that happens, and I know that they're trying their best to hide Stu Macher's return, leaving it ambiguous, having fans debate between whether Stu is AI or real. And I do think somewhere on YouTube, there's going to be like a potato quality video of Stu Macher being revealed. And fans will be like, no way. Now, I hope I'm not going to be one of those people who gets the online spoilers. I want to be pleasantly, well, I'm not going to be surprised, but I want to see the reveal in theaters, not on YouTube. But I do think there might be some unlucky fans who catch some spoilers. And then my 23rd prediction, Stu Macher dies with a smile. This one I'm super confident in because Stu Macher, I don't think he is afraid of death. Stu coming back 30 years later is not about surviving. It's not about avoiding death. It's about winning the narrative. It's about becoming a legend on Billy Loomis level as no longer being seen as a joke or Billy Loomis's dumb sidekick. He's going to be respected as the mastermind behind the last two movies, the man who pulled off radicalizing teenagers, running a cult, having people do dirty work for him, hiding in plain sight. And all Stu wants is validation and respect. And not just that, he also wants to ruin Sydney's life, to fracture her peace. And if he feels like he's done his job to some extent, then it does not matter if Sydney kills him. And I do think Sydney is going to kill him for real this time. She's going to make sure that Stu Macher is going to die or be dead this time. I feel like Stu's not going to get shot in the head. It's going to be like a little too sudden and abrupt. But I do see him sort of fading where he's like dying, but he's grinning, blood trickling from his mouth, and he's proud of what he accomplished before his final moments. And this leads into my 24th and final prediction. Sidney Prescott wins, but doesn't get a fully happy ending. So she accomplishes killing Stu Macher. She'll avenge her husband, who Stu either kills or has one of his cult members to kill. But it's just not going to be satisfying because her husband will be dead. Her daughter will be traumatized. The happy ending she thought she had will be ruined. So even if she kills all the Ghostface members of the cult, even if she kills Stu, she's going to walk away knowing I may never live in peace. There's always going to be new killers. I always got to be on my toes. My family is never safe. And Stu may go down, but he's going to take something from Sydney with him that Sydney will never forget. Sydney will regret dropping the TV on his face without making sure he was dead the first time. It's going to haunt fans as well. That's why I said this movie, the ending is going to leave a bit of a bitter taste in fans' mouths. But these are all my bingo card these are all my predictions for Scream 7 in my bingo card. Pretty long video. I'm sorry about that, guys, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with any of these predictions? Any predictions you'd like to add? Like, subscribe, and see y'all on February 27th, although I got more videos in the meantime. Peace.